Welcome to this week's episode of the Lads Film Thing podcast, where four friends discuss a film and generally have a good time. And be warned, there will be spoilers. So we've got Lucy.
Hello.
Abby.
Hi there.
This is me, Dan. And we've got Sam.
Hey.
So, Lucy, this week was your film choice.
It is, and I'm so very excited about this movie.
Me too. You've been going on about it for ages.
I know. So this week is RRR. It is a 2022 Indian Telugu language epic action drama directed by SS Rajamouli. It revolves around the fictional versions of two Indian revolutionaries, their friendship and their fight against the British Raj. So the film opens with Mali being kidnapped from her tribe.
Oh my God. I was like, Lucy has done it again.
Oh no.
She is literally ruining our lives with yet another film. It is the worst.
First Old Boy, and now this.
Yeah.
I know.
Why must she pick these films?
Yeah.
And I think all having kids ourselves, like really, really feeling, my God, what would that be like?
Yeah.
Just
And it's
insane.
just a mistake. Well, I mean, they wanted to take that kid, and then they throw a couple of copper pennies in the soil, and they think it's because was she singing a song?
Yeah, she does the tattoo and the singing, so they said, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
paying for that," which must mean it was such little money that it never crossed their mind that was payment for her.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking when her mum is running to the car.
Oh.
Yeah.
And is it Governor Scott that does that speech where he says,
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know how much this bullet
Oh.
costs?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
straight
it's
from
the
the
worst.
arse.
Yeah.
And just such like an immediate feeling of the British are so important. So anything the British do, even like a tiny bit of, I have no idea what bullets are made of. Steel? Iron?
Let's go for metal.
Even a small
Metal?
bullet.
Even a small bit of metal is like worth more
Oh.
than a whole person's life. Like that
Mm.
whole feeling really permeated the whole film, didn't it? And
Yeah.
again, they got that across so well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And then, as well as that, then we have to watch her mum being warped around the head.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then the only weird thing about that scene is, I thought the first time watching it that he killed her because he was going to shoot her dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
It then said use something else, and then she's just motionless, laying there.
With her eyes
Yeah.
wide open as well.
Yeah, so you just assume, but I suppose it is important to the plot that she does have a mum waiting to go back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that they didn't kind of give more glimpse that she was still alive.
Yeah, no, that bit was absolutely heartbreaking.
So from here, we immediately go to Ram, who is a police officer working for the British. And there's that whole situation where one of the guys in the crowd...
He throws like a rock and it hits
Yeah.
a picture, doesn't
It
it?
just hits the picture, though.
The picture
Yeah.
of the king.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And it's really funny that bit because it's go and get that guy out that crowd of thousands that is
Yeah.
the only one dressed in all red.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you can spot from a
So
crowd
convenient.
far away, yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone else had thrown it,
Yeah.
it would have just been like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
I don't know where that guy's gone, wearing the same colour as everyone else.
Yeah, and he just had to duck. But instead, he was
Yeah.
just a little bit higher than all the rest.
Yeah.
It's like that guy there.
And I love that scene because it's the first time you realise that the drama and action and physics of this film is not quite aligned with that of the normal world.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes, but we love it.
Yeah, the film
We
is
totally
all the
love it.
better for it.
And that moment, I know what you mean, where Ram decides he's the one that's going to go and get the guy.
Yeah.
And does that
Like
gravity
moon
defying...
jump, yeah.
It's the best... Well, it is one of the best
He
moments.
jumps straight into your heart, doesn't he?
He does! Yes,
Well, he
I'll
does,
totally take
except
that.
he's on the side that we hate.
Yeah. He's on the British
Yeah,
side.
true. Yeah,
So
that's
immediately I was like, obviously I'm in love with this man, but like we don't like
true. Yeah,
him.
he's the bad guy. Yeah.
Which is obviously, as for British people, there's not that many films and stuff out there where we are kind of the antagonists of the whole film. So it's quite a weird watch, isn't it? But I think that it probably helps it's set in the past, so you do distance yourself from it. But it
Yeah.
is a bit weird, isn't it? Being
Mm.
like, oh god,
Yeah.
this is our history.
And I know, well, there's spoilers, so we can say, obviously, Mally makes her way back to the tribe, but there must have been tons of children that didn't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and tons of
absolutely.
other awful, abhorrent things. So, yeah, I agree. You immediately are not on the side of the British. and Ram at this point, I should probably say, me and Sam have watched this film tons of times. Whereas for you guys, this was the first time watching, which was really fun for us to be involved in your experience of that because, we obviously knew at this point that, okay, Ram's not a British or working
loyalist,
and he is actually a good guy. But for you guys, that wasn't that experience at that point.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just going back to like our experience of watching it as 4 British people, obviously no country is very good at saying what they did badly, maybe, but this was almost 100 years of like terrible atrocities that we did, and we didn't learn about this at school. Like I knew pretty much nothing, and I kind of said to my dad like, oh, I'm learning a bit about this because I know nothing, and he knew like the same. I was kind of expecting him with his like historian brain to know some more, just knew nothing as well.
Really?
And I was like, none of us, like you have to really almost go out of your way to find out stuff about it. Yeah, I feel like there's maybe learning to be done. The Nazis are on the curriculum in Germany so that they're like, let's learn from this thing that happened. Whereas here it's just like, let's just ignore any of that stuff that we did for 100 years in this one country and loads of other countries.
It was like you were saying, forget out. It's not a lesson. This movie is for entertainment reasons. However, there's so much there, even to prompt you and go away and look at this stuff. Which is really good. But there's the whole scene of Ram taking down the sky, which, as you say, Sam, yes, there's the moon jump at the beginning, but also the way he manages to get that guy. There's just one thing after another of, well, the way he like rolls down the hill and he uses everyone else as like a bit of a shield, and then he manages to drag that guy.
Of like 40 people, but still comes out.
And he still drags him to the gate, and then just splashes his face with a bit of water and stands to attention. Like, it is pretty good first intro to Ram.
We've spoken a couple of times about in different podcast episodes about crappy mustaches. He has got a killer mustache.
He is leading the way with mustache.
But Ram's facial hair does change, and I wondered how quickly does it change, because he has like his beard in the town, and then the moment it goes to like the fight where he reveals himself, he suddenly has that tash back, and I was like, what's happened here? But still, we'll go with it. It's fine.
Tashback. That sounds great. Sorry. Tashback.
So, even though he's taken down this rebel, should we call him a rebel? The guy in the red turban? Protester, he's not promoted, and other people are, and he hasn't been promoted. So that's a bit of a kick in the guts.
So at the same time, we learn that the tribe that had Mali taken from them has tasked their guardian, Bheem, to go and rescue her. So we first see him in the jungle outside of Delhi, where he is running from wolves and tigers.
Yes, which is one of the best scenes, isn't it?
Really is.
It's really cool. But again, he has this kind of godly status, like you say, where he's just capable of doing so much more than any other character.
Yeah, but can I also mention there that one of the most adorable moments where he's like put the tiger to sleep, let's say, where he's like hit him with that powdery stuff, and then he says, "I'm sorry, you weren't supposed to be like wrapped up in this," and like puts him down. I presume he's not dead, that tiger.
That tiger's one that comes back later in the film.
Is it the same tiger though?
I think I thought they were getting
animals
for their mission. That was a
I didn't even realise that.
No, he was purposely getting chased by a tiger.
No, I thought this was just a bit of history of like how cool he is.
Later on in the town, and he goes, they're feeding the tiger.
Yeah, but I just thought, well, there's loads of other animals there too that we didn't see.
They're literally like collecting the animals for their mission.
Oh, I see. No, nor did I. Yeah, that does make more sense.
I didn't get that.
I think it is.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's what I thought.
No, I bet you fucking did.
I genuinely did.
Even before you knew what was going to happen, I think that tiger is reserved for a party.
I'm going to see that tiger again. He's got a memorable face on him.
Stripey.
So, Bheem then makes his way to Delhi.
Yep, where he's undercover as a Muslim actor.
Yeah.
And then it's the bridge scene.
Before that happens, you realise that Governor Scott and his wife, what's her name? Alison.
Twatface.
That's her actor name.
Yeah.
Cassandra? That can't be her name. Catherine, the evil Nazi from The Last
Yes.
Crusade, as she
Oh.
will always be known. She tasks the soldiers to find this unknown figure, because they know
Yes.
Bheem is on the trail for Mali, but they don't know anything about him, what he looks like, or anything. And this is where Ram steps up to the task, and it sets up the two against each other.
Oh,
unbeknownst.
yes. But this is where it's awful, because they have in that meeting where the guy is sat at the table and he's saying, look, this is a peaceful tribe. They protect all their,
Sheep or lambs.
oh yeah, all their members of the tribe, and they're not going to take well to having a kid taken. Please give her back. And they're just like, no. That, as if that's not even on the radar. It doesn't make any difference to them. So I guess it's another reflection on how terrible the British are in this movie. That they knew, like, fine, you might have, that wife wanted to take Millie home. Oh, that's just such a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But even when it's explained, like, no, this is really important. This is a girl's life.
Just learn to
and
do your own tattoos.
And learn to sing your own songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, she puts someone on the case to go and find.
Yeah, so then he
rescue.
decides to go undercover to be sympathetic to the cause, doesn't he?
Yes.
In the hopes of finding, well, he doesn't know but Bheem.
Yeah.
And then he runs into Lapchu from Bheem's tribe and then chases him through the town, and that's when they get set up around the bridge scene.
Yeah.
And that is a really cool bridge scene, actually. The one where the train comes
One
through.
of the coolest
Love
bridge
it.
scenes.
The train catches fire. There's a boy in the river in a really cool little boat, like a little
Yeah,
saucer
amazing.
dish thing. Is he fishing or something? But then the train catches fire, explodes, and it's like about to fall on him. And like Bheem's looking, and he's like, "I need to save him." And Ram, they kind of lock eyes, don't they? And they, you know that they're thinking the same thing.
And they do their most amazing 3-action sign language, which means
gesture. He's like, "You go that way, I'll go this way. We'll do the loop with the rope," and they both understand exactly what they mean and execute it
I
perfectly.
can't, even within like 10 minutes of drawings and words, I don't think I can convey what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, we have known each other for a long time, and sometimes I'll be like doing a gesture, drink. Lisa's like, I don't know what you're saying.
I don't have the time.
This is impossible to understand.
But then they end up saving the kid.
Hang on, though, you've missed out. You can't just skip to the saving.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, there's
We
a
have
lot of
to
stuff
dissect.
there.
But what vehicles or mode of transport do they use?
Oh my god, yes.
Yes, so there's a motorbike, there's a horse.
But that bridge scene and that rescue is absolutely like amazing. Some really cool like scenes there.
Yeah, even the fact that Ram, as he's going around the bridge, he gets the flag and he runs it through the water to pass it to Bheem so he can
So it's
wrap it
got a
around
coating,
himself.
That's
It's just
smart.
so nice. Everything. I mean, it's obviously impossible to foresee all this happening in reality, but the fact that he was worried about being, they were rescuing the kid. Also, there's no way that kid survived him being thrown the way he was.
I
I was
thought,
like,
and when he didn't land in the water and he landed on the bank, you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably broken a rib.
Yeah.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, that moment where they link arms and then it cuts to that graphic of two arms and RRR, and it's so
I
good.
had a couple of questions from the bridge scene, just around things that we could do as lads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe some like promo stuff. Like, is it actually possible to run on the bottom of the sea/river? If it is, we should definitely do that.
And
as
also,
a promo thing.
I always have this thing in mind. People always, or films always have people doing stuff underwater. You can't see.
No.
You can't see a thing.
No.
So there's no way they could have done that. Meet in the middle, link arms. They did that
Well, they
so
do the high five, so that's that was going to be my next thing. Should we do an underwater high five?
No, because we can't see. Unless you can get 4 sets of goggles, then yes, we could try.
Well, I think that is possible.
Well,
that is in the realms of possibility.
Okay, true.
I've never heard of more than 2.
One for each eye, I guess, and that's all. Yeah, just that I would like to try that. Yeah.
Yes, and then begins. So I know in Dirty Dancing we spoke about montage. We spoke about how great it was that she learnt those moves, that dance. The best montage in the whole wide world. a bromance montage. They just made friends. They did stuff together.
Yeah,
They rounded up
with
their
a great
sheep.
soundtrack with Dusty playing in the background.
Dusty's the best song. It's just so good to watch that happening. Even the first time you see it, you know Ram's essentially the anti-hero in this bit. They are best friends, and that's what Bheem says later on.
Yeah.
He says best friends forever.
Forever and ever.
Oh, you know that standard thing that grown men say to each other.
So we've had the montage. They're very good friends from now on, best friends.
Best forever.
And now begins Bheem's relationship with Jenny.
The one nice British person in the whole film.
Yeah.
The person that we love and all want to be. So Bheem's relationship with Jenny is highly dependent on Ram. Ram is the wingman. He facilitates
There's a language
everything.
barrier, isn't there?
There is a language barrier, but also
he's shy.
No, so there's that scene where, so obviously he's spread the nails all over the road, the car, the tyres burst, and then Jenny comes over and she's like, I need a garage, is there one nearby? And Bheem's like, yeah, 5 minutes away, and Ram's like 5 hours away. Like, he does take it that extra step, more than just the language barrier.
Yeah, he definitely sorts them out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that gets him an invite to the party of the year.
Yes.
So he finds out that Mally is at the house, so he knows he needs to get in with Jenny to make sure he can get her back.
And he makes that really quick bracelet, doesn't he?
Yeah, and there's that bit where she's like, did you make this? And he's like, no, I made it.
Oh yeah.
It's such like weird joke.
It's so stupid, but like it still was really funny.
And then there is the best party ever.
And even better, he insists on Ram going with him.
Yeah,
and Ram does his hair, lends him a suit. Like, it's very sweet.
Oh, it's so good. I love it so much. And yeah, that party is obviously amazing because Natu Natu, so good.
But before, the reason for Natu Natu is the git of Jake, who is the award winner for the worst mustache in the whole film.
You love a bad mustache.
It's terrible. Like, just don't bother. It's okay to not have a mustache. You can't really have one.
Yeah. But Jake is the worst. Right, mustache aside, he's awful, isn't he?
He's just a pillock, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ah, great, my mum word.
Oh.
That's the segment.
When he's doing all those dances and he's like, oh, what about flamenco? It's so cringy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Even thinking that's impressing people around him, you're like, flamenco has never impressed anyone ever, I don't think. Unless you're like an 85-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in 1920, those 85-year-old women now were not born.
So he's just trying
but you get the gist. I can never say the word gist ever again. I literally said it at work this week and was like, nope. So the dance bit, I don't know whether we spoke about this, but I felt really weird because my first instinct was to be like, oh my God, this is so cringy and I didn't feel that comfortable with it. And then I was like, well, the whole kind of point of British colonialism was we went in places, took bits of their culture that we found palatable, destroyed any bits that we didn't find palatable, and then left. And actually this is such like a typically Indian feel, and the whole point of all of the other British people being uncomfortable and a bit like stuck up-ish about it, it kind of made me think, well, you're like, for me, I was just doing the exact same thing of not being comfortable and so going, I don't like this. And then after I'd had that thought, I loved it. I was like, okay, you just have to, this is a cultural thing. Obviously it's very like big, it's very over the top, it's very theatrical, when obviously like my natural feeling is to be a bit disliking of earnestness and eagerness, and so that was kind of just stuck a bit with me. But as I was watching, I literally had this thing of, well, that's their culture, culture shining through, and the whole colonial thing was to squash that. And so let's just take it for exactly what it is and enjoy that.
I guess
and
I
then
saw
I
it a
did.
bit different because every single like Indian Hindi film will have a big dance scene, like, pretty much in the middle of it, and it always sits a bit outside of the story. You kind of enjoy it for what it is, but assume that in the real story it didn't happen like exactly like that. So I kind of see that kind of the same, don't you?
I just think when we watched that the first time, you and I, Sam, that was the moment where I was like getting really excited over the movie. Like, is this actually happening? Are we actually watching a dance off in the middle of this movie that has already taken us to like children being kidnapped and a police officer undercover, and then now we're having a dance off in the middle of this party? And there's so many like looks at the camera, winks, and like it is very much for the audience, even though it's totally relevant to the story because they're having a dance off with this guy that's being an actual dick. And at that moment where they turn to each other, so they're having this dance off, and it's like there's three of them left, like Ram and Bheem, and then Jake. Jake's out because he can't keep up, and then they just look at each other. That moment, you and I were like, yes, this is so good. So I think I didn't look into it as much as you, I don't think.
I think for me, like, it's a very British thing to not like earnestness, isn't it? It just sort of opened my mind to, okay, just love this for the pure joy of what it is.
Yeah, I think that's something that sort of resonates in that particular scene. There is so much joy.
Yeah.
It is literally just, even like the way they're talking, like Jake's been an absolute dick. He's so horrible. And he's like, oh, brown rubbish. And like, just being such a dickhead.
Yeah.
And then these two guys are just like, let's just have a dance. Let's just like join in. Let's all get together. And like, it's just, they're just coming from such a good place, even though they've been treated so badly. But still getting one over on him. I just thought it was really good.
And, well, Natu Natu won the Oscar for the best film, which I think was the first time an Indian film had won an Oscar. So it was a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, that's so great.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
And I have it on repeat in the car. Well, all 5 amazing songs from this movie.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's really good.
Shortly after the party, Ram comes to the realization that the green under the fingers of Lachu, who he's been looking for this whole time, was paint from a car. So he knows he now needs to look in the garages in the town to try and find this guy who he's been looking for the whole time.
Yeah.
Which he then does, and basically he captures him. He gets bitten by the snake.
He tortures him first.
He tortures him first, not horrendously, but
I don't know. Does give his knees a bit of a beating.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he gets bit by this banded crate.
I wrote down banded crate.
Yeah.
I was like, I must look up this animal.
Is it poisonous that will kill you in 2 hours?
I don't know.
Wow.
I didn't end up looking it up.
Yeah, I trusted the facts there.
Ultimately, I'm a camera.
But then again, he does the nice thing that once he realises he's kind of doomed and poisoned, he lets him go because he's like, well, you might as well go live your life then. Which is, again, still like a nice thing to do. But he manages in the whole town to make his way to Bheem, who is just about to launch his master plan. And then comes the reveal from both sides.
Yeah.
He realises that Bheem is this village guardian he's been looking for. Bheem reveals that he was there to save Millie anyway.
And you can tell in Ram's eyes that he's like, it's you, and he's trying to reach out and be like, you're the one I've been looking for this whole time.
It is some powerful stuff.
And then he does some punches.
He does. He's so angry he has to just punch the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And he punches right through that punching bag.
He does.
And I was like, is that even possible?
So Bheem goes off to rescue Millie. They have the big truck full of secret animals.
Yes, this is one of the most spectacular things in an action film I've ever seen. And it's like definitely up there with like anything in like a Fast and the Furious film or something like that. I think like they've got the plan, there's the double doors, the first set of doors open, then the car goes in, then they've worked out the timing, it smashes through, it's in slow motion, the truck like spins around 90 degrees, he's on the top, he rolls back, he pulls the curtain, the like cover from the side of the van back, and then a flood of animals just come
Yeah.
out, and it's like
Really good.
it's just so incredible.
Yeah,
And
it's
like obviously then there's like fighting and stuff, and the British are trying to fight off like loads of animals. They've got no idea what's going on, and I think for me, I was a bit like, yeah, come on, this is amazing now, because like you were saying at the earlier on, they were warned that they should give the kid back, and it wouldn't be good for them if they didn't do that. And then you can kind of feel like this moment, they're like, oh, this is what they were talking about. This
Yeah.
guy, literally, there's this massive master plan here, and this is all because of that thing we did.
Oh, yeah.
It's just spectacular. I loved it.
It was such a good metaphor. Like, obviously, they had like 60 years ish of British rule by that point, and literally, like, letting caged animals free is such a good metaphor for what was like beginning to happen around that point. And there were some some nods being made at that point in India to like Indian people being given some freedoms. But I was reading that at that point when they were being given some freedoms to almost like placate them, it was only about 10% of Indian males of age who actually had the vote. So although it was like Indian men have the vote, they actually had pretty much nothing. So I just thought this amazing like violent but also peaceful, because the animals, they weren't actively trying to hurt anyone, they were just being their natural selves, were just saying like they were free, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were just out.
definitely. Yeah, and it was so reflective of Bheem, because obviously it's just a little piece of the jungle he's brought with him,
Yeah,
and it's taking it right into the British Raj, and it's just like, this is what you get if you mess with the tribe, which was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, but then this is where Ram, bearing in mind he's been bitten by a snake,
Yeah, he's just fine again.
he
It's a
literally,
quick
yeah,
heal, isn't it?
yeah, it is a quick heal, and yeah, he's back in his uniform, he's totally together, and he's ready for the biggest fight of his life. And there's so much slow-mo in this fight scene, which I
Yes.
love. The bit with the chariot.
Do you use the slow-mo well in this?
yeah,
Yeah.
As
they
like you
really
said,
do.
If they got rid of the slow-mo, they could easily shave half an hour.
Yeah, but I think this scene is probably one that you appreciate more the more times you see it, or you always see something different. That's what I found anyway from watching it more than once, multiple times. Because there's the water and the fire bit.
Yeah,
Oh, that's really
Which was
good.
actually awesome, wasn't it? Where there just happened to be a ton of fireworks.
Yeah.
They were all going off behind Ram.
Perfectly framing Ram.
Yeah, which was so
Whereas the
fun.
water fountains, snake, serpents like, of the sea,
Yeah,
framing Bheem.
yeah.
It's ridiculous, but it works really well and just looks like amazing on screen.
yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I didn't 100% understand why he was water.
Yeah, because Ram later on is like, he's fire himself
Yeah.
about Bheem. And I was like, well, I thought it was a whole fire water thing going on here.
Yeah, and also it felt like that would make so much more sense if
Yeah.
Beam was fire.
They're both like fiery, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I thought that about the whole horse motorbike thing, because he was from the jungle. Like, that was his whole thing, was he was the guardian of the jungle.
Yeah.
And so it felt like horse would be his
But not only that,
natural.
but not only was on the motorbike versus the horse, but knew how to fix a motorbike as well. The jungle guardian was working in a garage and could fix them.
Undercover though.
Yeah, but just because you like don the uniform doesn't mean you can like take apart a motorbike.
No, but it doesn't mean, well, we didn't actually see him do that. We saw him fix that tiny issue with that guy that was like, fix my bike, and he just did like a little, we haven't seen him doing any full on mechanics. Wait, really?
No, but he knew more than somebody who owned a motorbike.
Yeah, I suppose. But also, Ram's journey from anti-hero to hero is sort of his journey back into...
Yeah, he had like village roots, didn't he?
Yeah, and he starts off very regimented in his uniform with his very perfect moustache. And then at the end, he's literally with a bow and arrow, riding a horse, like he...
Trousers made out of flags.
Yeah.
Yes, which we love.
Yeah.
But he's still wearing them ages later. That's what I
Yeah,
love. You're like, he's
yeah.
still wearing the flag trousers. Like 2
Oh,
days on.
you got a good pair of trousers.
Yeah, true.
You got to get a lot of days wear out
Made
of
by
those.
your best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love you to make me trousers
I can do that for
Flags.
you.
out of
Out of
flags.
flags. I can get my hands on some flags.
I don't. It doesn't feel like that's okay.
No.
Well, like what flags? What flag's going to be on my butt? That
What?
feels disrespectful, doesn't it?
So here is where Ram captures Bheem.
The friendship definitely takes a hit
Yeah.
that night.
And our hearts are breaking, if we're honest.
It's because you're just left thinking that Ram puts his job or seemingly above his friendship.
Yeah. And him hanging from that building is just awful, isn't it?
Yeah, by his own religious beads as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bad. And then he only submits because Mully's at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is that moment where I think when Ram is behind Bheem and he's got like a massive chunk of the railing,
yeah.
and he could just kill him right there, and he doesn't. So you get a little hint there that okay, yes, he is still loyal to the British at this point. Well, we think, but he still can't kill his best friend.
But the other way round, he does, doesn't he? Because he obviously doesn't kill him, but he Beam stabs Ram.
Yeah, with like the claws. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does, yeah.
So, but then that makes sense when you know everything that is actually happening.
But then in that scene, Ram does, even though he looks like he's loyal to the police force, you have Ram unwilling to hurt Bheem, but Bheem willing to hurt.
That's what
Ram,
I mean. Like that makes sense in the end, doesn't it? When you know exactly what's happening and where each of their loyalties lie, it would make sense. He'd be like, "You're with the British. I absolutely hate you."
Yeah.
Versus, like, you're doing a good thing, but I just need to get my job done.
Well, yeah, because in this scene, regardless of what side Ram is on or his motives behind what he's doing, he is 100% the reason why Bheem doesn't get Millie there.
Yeah.
Because Bheem was about to. He had the key and then he lost the key.
Yeah.
And then he was about to get her by going over the building and Ram stops him. So that's pretty shitty, isn't it?
Mm.
So after this, so obviously Bheem's captured, and then it goes into a bit more about Ram's backstory, which is more harrowing scenes. I'm sorry.
It really, really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing is so emotional, isn't it? And you're like, I liked you all the way through, but I felt I shouldn't. That's obviously with us being the first time that we'd watched it. I was like, I liked you all the way through, but felt like I shouldn't because you were on the wrong side. And now, like, it's okay to like you.
Yeah.
You're doing a hard thing.
Yeah.
Like, because you feel like that's what you absolutely have to do.
Yeah.
But then the flogging.
Well, no, but it's just so sad because his whole family.
And he was just a child at the time.
So yeah, you basically watch Ram's family being murdered.
And knowing that, but he had to kill his dad.
Yeah.
But then there was that guy with that weird accent.
Oh, the
I
English
think that was
guy.
just Northern.
Yeah, but that was very weird to just pop up in the middle of that movie, wasn't it?
Which guy, sorry?
I can't remember what he
He
said.
goes, "We got to change our strategy."
Oh, no,
yeah.
it wasn't Northern, it was Cockney, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was just so random
Yeah.
to just that just pop up in the middle of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's quite distracting, I think. Yeah.
Well, every other British person sounded like this in the whole film, didn't they?
So British.
I know. Do you reckon that's how we sound to people?
Yeah. No.
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 Yeah? No.
No.
Listeners out there, tell us how proper English do you think we all sound in the comments?
Proper
Social
English.
media.
Rate it out of 60.
Yeah.
And please make up your own, like, hilarious 3 categories and get 4 people involved. Yeah.
Go on the loose. Pip, pip.
Oh, sorry.
Flogging.
Okay, so
So English.
Bheem's getting captured, and now we have to watch the most harrowing scene of the whole thing, which has been getting whipped and flogged by Ram.
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose towards the end, you Well, I mean, throughout, definitely you sympathise with him in some respect, but also he's fighting for the British, and you're therefore like, well, for me anyway, I was like, well, I don't like you because of this. You've picked the wrong side here for me. And then obviously he's doing everything he can to stop Bheem in his mission, and now he just ends up like publicly flogging him. And I was just like, this is like, yes, they had this friendship, but like, how do you ever come back from this? Like, he has clearly set out like what he believes in what he is doing. I don't know. I was just like, I don't see how realistically they can come
Even
back
just
from
let him
this.
in on it. Like, he's really close to him. He's literally flogging him. Just say, I like.
That's not the time and place, though.
Well, any time
Any time.
But
surely
he is
is
saying
the
to him,
time and
he's saying
place.
like, just kneel. He's trying to keep him
True.
safe. He is doing
Yeah,
all
but
this in his power to make this less. And he's saying like, you need to like, even at the house party, he's saying you need to stop now, otherwise like Mali's going to get killed. Like,
Yeah.
he is trying to control the situation for the sake of everyone.
Yeah.
yeah, but like if you were on Beam's position, on Beam's side, you'd be like, well, it's just another like British person just telling me what to do. Just kneel. No, I don't want to kneel. That's what everyone wants me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah.
just another British soldier now. You've betrayed me. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do.
That's what I mean. Just if somebody genuinely is your bestest friend forever, and that's what you've written on like both of your notepads with hearts round, then surely you can just tell them the truth in some
Can you though?
way.
Like, this is a mission that was started when you were a child, the day your family were murdered in front of you and you had to kill your dad. Are you going to risk that all for a quick? Oh, I'm like 2 days away from fulfilling this 20-year mission, but I'll tell Beam.
Yeah.
Like, he can't risk any of that, can he?
Well, yeah, but I suppose the bad thing is though, literally 24 hours after he's flogged him nearly to death, he does give up on it.
Yeah, because if he
Or
didn't
he
ever
does-
turn
Well,
around,
He tries to get
doesn't-
all of it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's like, oh no, I see now. You're like, well, you couldn't have had that epiphany 24 hours before.
but it was because of the flogging, wasn't it? Not despite it. He said, like,
Yeah.
he said, I've been trying to do this with guns. Beam managed to rally the people with his song, like,
Yeah.
which was all to do with the flogging.
I get that, but I just feel like that just highlights how flawed his plan is of like rising to the top and then getting guns for his village. Like him being such a prominent soldier, like going back to that bit at the start, the big moon jump out to get that one guy, blah, blah, blah. He's setting an example in front of literally thousands of other people, like as a Indian person working for the British. Like this happened over generations and generations. There would have been people there seeing him like, oh, that guy is working for the British. Like he would have set, like, yes, there's that him saying, oh, Beam's done this with his song, he's rallied these people. He was also portraying through his own actions a reason to work for the British as a Indian person, like through like his own actions. So,
yeah, because everybody must have been like, he's amazing, and he works for the
yeah,
British.
the British have been here for 30 years. They're clearly not going anywhere. You know, he's doing it. Maybe I should give in and actually just join them as well. Like, imagine how many people thought that from looking at him and his actions.
Oh,
Oh. But I think he had the same doubts as you are now, like, and questioned all those things because he was saying to, I think it was his uncle, afterwards, like, I've been doing it wrong all along. Like, I've been hurting people. I've been hurting my own people for this one cause, and it's
Yeah.
not been right.
Yeah.
So I think he does reach the same conclusion you have, in that I haven't been going about this the right way, and I've put my mission, if you like, above everything else, when actually Beam is doing things for the whole cause, if you like.
Yeah.
yeah, and also not going against his like personal beliefs as he does it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not compromising
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
doing atrocious things.
yeah, but he does say, like, we need to rescue Mali, we need to save Beam, and if I die doing that, then that's that. Like, forget my mission.
yeah,
But you say like Tracy, like Beam was happy to let a pack of wild animals kill a lot of people, and there were women and stuff at that party that would have been injured. Like, obviously he is coming from a much better standpoint because he is just going to save Mali, but he is doing what he needs to do to get there, and he is like potentially hurting people that are not there, stood there with a gun at this party.
Not
guess-
Jenny though.
True.
Not Jenny, but
Not Jenny, because he puts her in the car.
yeah.
But I
Yeah,
guess
true.
you could argue as well that with that, they were also part of the system.
Yeah.
Like all of those white women were benefiting from
Yeah.
Yeah.
the system.
But does that mean that they are responsible for it and they should be killed for it?
I don't know, but if you're there at like a party and you're like being part of a celebration around the British Raj, it's not like you're like, I'm here against my wishes, I don't agree with it, blah, blah, blah. If you're like living it up and having some drinks, then you're kind of not exactly.
No, I get that. They
You're
are like
very much
advocating it.
involved.
But
Yeah.
that's different to actively engaging in it.
I see what you mean, yeah. I mean, they're not the generals out there doing the stuff, but they're also not saying, no, I don't agree with this, and this shouldn't happen. They're very much enjoying the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Especially around Millie as well. They're all like gathered around her.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
like, and he's there to rescue a kid at the end of the day. Like he's not.
Yeah.
Even Ram, he's trying
But
to
he's
get.
not gone in there to sneak her out. He's gone in there to murder everyone on his way in.
It's definitely one that makes you question, like who's in the right.
Yeah, and I think this just for me, because obviously they go on in the film to become friends. Out of all of the other things, like the gravity-defying stuff, that bit for me was the bit where I was just like, that's the most unbelievable bit. Like he immediately is like, oh, I did the wrong thing, I want to be friends again. If I was Beam, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like after all that I've shared with you and I've told you what I'm doing and this blah blah blah,
But
you're on the British side and then you flog me publicly and now you're just like, no, I was wrong.
But I think he realises that a bit later on, after the flogging and then the execution by the river for Beam, like
Yeah.
Ram literally, like almost dies getting Millie and Beam to safety.
Yeah.
So I guess Beam has part of that. Like
That's
maybe if it had been then, he'd been like, hang on, mate, you've literally just like used Governor Scott's wife weird whip that she hadn't had.
Why
on
does
her.
she have that?
Yeah,
Why?
that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
What is she using that for in her regular life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
she's the worst.
brutal. But
Yeah.
like straight from that's just like crazy. But he does seem to do a lot of good stuff on that mission.
Yeah.
And I guess they share the same kind of history, don't they? Of being like subjugated by the British, of not being able to trust the people that are around them. So it's not quite like, I don't know, I've told you everything and you didn't tell me anything and we should have just shared. I think when he learns about the story, he goes, I can see why you like took these steps and didn't just tell me, because it was never safe.
Yeah.
This was a massive task
And he was
that you
literally
could
like,
do.
his dad told him that was his mission, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
you've got to
Yeah.
go, you've got to get in there and
Yeah.
get the guns
Which
for
is
everyone.
so sad because it literally changed his life.
But that's the thing,
Yeah.
like, because he was so impressionable child, like that
Yeah.
is all he ever knew and had to do,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, didn't stand a chance really,
And
did
the
he?
whole village were relying on when he said, like, I won't come back until I've done it.
Yeah.
Like,
At least get like 10 of them going and do the same mission. Like,
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah.
have one person going to do it and like say having to do these things to like prove himself.
oh,
Yeah.
his uncle was there, which just makes it even more sad because that was his brother, his family.
Oh yeah, so at least
Yeah.
there's one other person there trying to
Yeah.
like, do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did think the way that Ram managed to get Beam and Molly to safety was
Redeeming.
redeeming. Yeah, like it is still awful that he would have died. Beam could have easily died during that flogging. So
I think that's the
Yeah.
one I saw. If somebody else
Yeah.
did it, he would have been killed.
no, but regardless, because Ram did say you're going to die if you don't kneel, so he knew that was in the realms of what I'm going to do here.
And when it all went tits up, he did immediately get him to safety.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
but I couldn't bear it watching that the first time. I was like, is he a good guy or not? I cannot
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
this out, and it's so hard to watch. But then when it all comes together, you're just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
They were good friends. Like, obviously, because they didn't know about each other's secret identity, that friendship was genuine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
then he obviously rescues Bheem and Melly, and I love that bit where he holds everyone down and just until they're over the horizon,
Yeah.
and then he's like, oh,
Yeah.
because he's been stabbed in the back where he fell on that tree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the amazing physics of the car was shot by one bullet
Yeah.
Yeah.
flying in the air, and he
Flew
goes
out.
a good like 10 meters
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
car. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, which is so funny.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, you guys will know the proper name, but that Child of the Forest song,
Oh, yeah.
when that was happening, that song was amazing.
Really good.
Just
wasn't
that
it?
real whole feeling. Again, like we've spoken a couple of times about films making you viscerally feel something, and just that whole feeling of him being free because he refused to kneel, and it absolutely didn't matter what was happening to him externally, and that how much that lifted the crowd up, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
and again, like, you guys know that I love to do my research bits, and I think it was in around that year, like around that time, that there were food riots everywhere because people like the British used a lot of Indian people for the First World War, and so they came back as like injured veterans, and then they also really taxed the Indian population so they could use that for the war effort and a bunch of other stuff. So there were all these like huge food riots. Yeah, and so just that feeling of like, you can do all of this shit to us all the time, but we just will not be curbed. But I guess then the flip side of that is there was full independence in like 1947 or something, wasn't there? So even from this film, there was another 27 years of rule. Yeah, it's weird to
The
think.
whole generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And especially, we were talking before, weren't we? And like the real, because they were real people, but they never met, and the entire story is fictitious and everything.
Yeah.
But and I think it was Ram's character, was it? And he died in like 1927 or something, at 26 years old or 27 years old. It's just like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a really powerful scene that, with the song and the riot that then follows. And yeah, you almost, I don't know, it's nice to see that power switch, like from everything being in the British control to suddenly they've been overthrown even for this tiny moment.
Yeah.
That was quite a powerful scene, I think.
Yeah, and I think, again, I was reading about at this point, the British were desperately kind of trying to hold on still. So they had just done like a big investigation into what they could do to kind of keep more control, and they'd started, essentially it was like wartime rules, so they could do trials with 3 judges, not any jury. They could execute people. There were like all of these things that were just coming in at this time that probably made it so much worse. And again, I feel like you really feel that about the British in this film. They're like really trying to hold on to what they have by their fingertips, really, aren't they?
Oh, that's so horrible.
Bum you out there? Just a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next we see is Bheem and Molly are on the run. They're hiding out in, I can't remember which town it is, but in a town. And they meet.
Apparently like months later as well.
Mm.
When you see them running off, you'd be like, okay, they're free and gone. And the next you hear, months later, they still haven't made it back to their tribe. You're like, oh no, this is terrible.
Yeah. And they meet Sita, who protects them from being caught by the British. And she reveals that she's there to get Ram, who's due to be hanged, and says he had to betray his best friend. And obviously, Bheem realises that it's him. And then, isn't it just the best moment where he says, like, he takes her hand and he's like, I will promise to bring him back for you. I'm going to go and get him. And she was just like, yes, this is going to be amazing.
And then he gives her a little like stroke and a pat on the head.
He gives her that weird head pat.
It's a funny little moment. Pat on the head.
Oh, but he's so upset.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And
Yeah.
when he rescues him from the prison as well, he's just so upset.
Yeah,
when he
because
meets
you're like,
him.
just leave now. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
the time for like
Yeah.
crying by his cell.
Yeah, you're literally about to get caught, and he's just like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know it was you."
Yeah.
But that rescue is
Oh
amazing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the piggyback,
Yeah,
That's
or the
incredible.
shoulder carry,
Yeah,
the shoulder
that was
carry
amazing.
fighting, and the shooting. Like, I know Ram was always built up to be this good shot, but he was 2 guns leaning behind him,
Yes,
shooting people. Like, it was like fantastic. Just
it was epic.
how unbelievable but entertaining it was.
Yeah, good core strength.
Yeah,
Strong cores on
that's
both
exactly
of those people.
Even the climbing scenes, they look like a spider, like both of them climbing at the same time.
Yeah.
And then to like flip over the top of the tower.
Yeah,
Like,
I love that bit.
Yeah.
And then when they jump off the tower, and it makes no sense,
yeah.
but I love it so much. And as they go over the wall, Ram shoots those 2 people on the top of the wall, and then they just land on their feet, and then they go.
Yeah.
So yeah, the escape from the prison is amazing. I missed the bit where you find that, like, Ram's reveal when he walks to the cell and he's like, he's only been fed once a week.
Oh yeah, once a
Oh,
week.
yeah.
He'll be
Yeah.
gnawing at his chains, and then he turns around and there's that really cool music, and he looks amazing.
Yeah.
Keep putting your pants
Yeah.
loose.
And he's saying his little motto, is it point, load and shoot?
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
what-
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Aim, load, and shoot.
aim, load and shoot?
Yeah.
Oh, and I love that bit so much. Like he was talking about how it's not about the result, it's about the fact that you literally tried to get there. Is that in that bit?
I think I know the bit you mean, but
I think,
I can't remember
let's
what it
face it, you were not concentrating on
I was not
anything he
listening
was
to
saying.
anything. I couldn't get out of my head the fact that he'd only eaten for once a week,
Mm.
all through the rest of the bit. So I was like, he hasn't eaten since, and
Yeah.
they're fighting in the jungle, and
Well, you don't know. It could have been like that day.
yes, true.
Oh,
He
good
might not
point.
have been 6
You're
days
right.
into his like
Yeah,
week.
Yeah, good point. Also, he might have grabbed like a Snickers just on the way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Beam
Beam
probably
was like,
can.
here
Yeah.
you go. I knew they wouldn't feed you.
Oh,
And then he does the next really rapid healing in the jungle.
when he's like laid up. in
Yeah,
that
because his
little-
like legs are battered. He can't really
Oh
move.
yes, his legs.
But
can't even walk.
a good, I think so. Beam does heal him, prays for him,
Yeah.
gets him some flag trousers,
Like
Yeah.
trousers.
and apparently the combination of the 3 means good 20 minutes, and he's ready to go like
Yeah.
full strength.
Yeah.
And don't forget his bow and arrow situation.
Yeah, borrow a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
From a statue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's handy.
It's handy
Yeah.
that a statue had a real bow and arrow.
Right.
Yeah.
probably hard to carve though, like an arrow, especially like with the string
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a one on. Yeah. And then there's that massive scene in the jungle, which is just so good.
Really
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
So many slow-mo moments, like Beam coming out of the water.
yeah,
So many good arrow
Yeah.
situations.
yeah. The old grenade arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
that
That's
was
really good.
And
Got a lot
then
of tips there.
tips. Well,
For
How to-
jungle warfare.
Yeah,
Oh, literal jungle
Yeah,
warfare
yeah,
tips.
they're
Yeah.
literal.
I thought it was like a metaphor or
Yeah.
something you were getting at.
Not
Okay.
this time, folks.
Cool. Good for you, Ellie. I look forward to you putting those into practice.
I'm saying if it happens, I'm prepared in a way that I wasn't previously.
Good.
what by the idea that you can attach a grenade to an arrow?
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
Too bad you're a fucking horrible shot, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Or you take so long to aim that you just blow your own face.
and then the amazing thing after those really cool deaths is that moment where not only do they re-find their motorbike and horse that just happens to appear
Yeah.
at the right
Horse.
time.
I was like, when's the horse? Oh, there's a horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he lands squarely on it. I love it.
Yeah, he jumps in the air and
It's
yeah,
so
perfect.
good.
But then it's that scene where they're going up and they see the Governor Scott's house and like where all the guns are, and it's literally like they're reaching the last boss of the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
and it's just really cool.
Yeah, and again, he does that like three
Oh yeah,
sign to say like it's like 3 signs, but it means okay, you go that way, jump off the motorbike. I'm then going to hit the motorbike, and then the
Yeah.
motorbike's going to go
Yeah.
into there, and then that's going to go into.
it's
the
going to go
trenches.
into the window. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, really
Hmm.
good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we just watch the whole place being taken down,
Yeah.
which is so good. And then
That
you
was
just
good.
love the moment where Governor Scott's getting like dripped on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by
And
that
he looks
awful
up.
woman.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's her, and he's like, "You got your comeuppance." And I love it that she's like, "I want to see him bleed," and then she's literally just dripping blood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tangled up in barbed wire.
There was definitely a poetic justice to what happened to her
Yeah.
and her husband.
Yeah.
And Bheem was the one to get the guns for Ram, which is really
Yeah.
sweet. And Ram's
Yeah.
face, like when he sees him.
Oh, his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
It means so much.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's the thing, you've been on such a journey through this
Yeah.
whole movie. You know how much that means. Yeah, and then the moment when Ram pins the governor with an arrow and then passes the gun to Beam, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And he says something again about the value of the bullet, doesn't he? It
Yes.
comes
Oh,
back
yeah.
around right from the start. And that's good. Poetic justice as well.
yeah, definitely.
After that, you see them. It's the like post scenes where he delivers the guns back to his village.
Oh, yes.
Beam reunites with Jenny.
Mally gets back with the
Melly,
mum.
oh yes, yeah, back to the village.
Oh, that's such a nice scene.
Yeah.
But mixed
Yeah.
in all of this is that song at the end, which is just so joyful.
Yeah, that is amazing. And it's got pictures of like influential Indian sort of freedom fighters, hasn't it?
Yeah,
As
all
part of
those
the back.
yeah, the
it's
backdrops.
amazing.
And it's catchy.
It is catchy. Yeah. Yeah, and kind of for us, like a whole new genre of stuff, because we haven't really watched many Bollywood or Tollywood films. So actually, like you were saying earlier, like it's completely separated from the actual
Yeah.
film, like the sets. And I was like, what's happening? I don't understand how this fits in, and the pictures. And then I was like, oh, it's just extra. It's
Yeah,
just happening
just go with
alongside.
it. Yeah, it's
Go
just
with it.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even the director pops up.
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't supposed to be part of the movie. It's just like a really happy,
Yeah, like a
joyful.
thanks for watching with us.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
celebration.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to finish out the film, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
So now is the time where we give scores to the film. As usual, we are looking at 3 categories: enjoyability, shareability, and masterpiece ability, where each of us lads will give a score out of 5, meaning the total score is out of 60. So let's start with enjoyability. Dan, what do you go for?
I give it a 4.
Nice. Ab?
I gave it a 4.5.
Luce, I have a feeling we know this one.
It's a 5 for me.
And a 5 from me. So Dan, why did you only give this a 4 out of 5?
I mean, to be clear, I absolutely loved it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fantastic. I think it's just around that relationship kind of breakdown and then resolution, that kind of thing. I just had a lot of questions and difficulty empathizing with how that was fixed. And even after that had kind of happened towards the end of the film, I was still like, yeah, but hang on a minute, all of that stuff, I don't know, it stayed with me a little bit.
So you would rather have the relationship like Danny Glover and Martin Short from 1991's Pure Luck? That's the sort of relationship movie you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I haven't seen that film, but I'll take your word for it.
It's a solid relationship.
Yeah.
Ab 4.5. Why did it lose half a mark?
And I'm sorry for this terrible score. Yeah, I guess kind of the same with Sam, really. That it made me feel quite uncomfortable to be British as well, which is kind of hard because like I can't help that.
Yeah, but then you've got to think you would be the Jenny in the situation. But would you?
You'd be
Yes, yes, I would. Thank you. What are you suggesting?
Nothing.
The general's wife? Or would you?
Because you do have that whip with the stuff.
We don't speak about that.
She saves that for the zombie Patrick Swayze.
Oh my god.
You have to get to the gist somehow.
Oh my
So the next
Oh my
category we look
God.
at is shareability. Dan.
Yeah, I said 4.
Ab?
Oh,
And Luce.
5.
I gave it a 4. So, Luce, 5.
So this is obviously my favourite film in all the world. I would love everyone to watch it. Yeah, that's all. And I think if anyone's put off by it being, like, sometimes watching a foreign film is quite hard work in that you either have to read the subs or listen to the dubs, which sometimes are terrible, but in this film are actually amazing. It shouldn't put you off because it's just such a good experience from start to finish, and it just makes you think so much. Like, it's like some of the other films that we've discussed so far. You can just watch it for pure enjoyment, or there's so much more you can take from it, and you can go away and find out more.
So the last category is masterpiece ability. How much of a masterpiece this film was. Luce.
A 5.
Ab.
5.
Dan.
A 5.
And yeah, I also gave it a 5. So Luce, this was your pick. Why did you give it a 5?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I love the slow-mo. I love the over-the-top action scenes. I love the story. I love the fact that it takes you from, it's like a roller coaster of emotions, like really harrowing scenes, but also really good, like wholesome romance moments. It's really good.
Cool. Ab, 5?
I liked your thing on a previous film that we watched, and I can't remember what it was, where you said, Sam, would you want to watch it at the cinema? And like, as soon as it finished, I thought, I really would love to watch that film at the cinema and see it massive. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Same for me. I feel like, thanks for sharing this. This is a brilliant film. I feel gutted to have missed it at the cinema.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I would love to see this at the cinema. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will one day. They do a flashback.
Yeah.
One day.
I just thought it was an amazing film. Like, the action was awesome. I loved, like, it was just a bit over the top. The songs are just brilliant.
Yeah.
Acting is awesome. And the story is just kept on changing, getting you engaged. And for a 3-hour long film, it's not easy to keep you entertained the whole time.
Yeah.
But literally love the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that brings the total score for RRR at 55.5 out of 60, which is a very high and well-deserved score.
That's our highest, isn't it?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Wowza.
But let us know what scores you gave it at home and see if you thought RRR was as worthy of the 5s as we did.
Thank you for coming along to this week's Lads Film Club and joining us where we discussed RRR.
We'd love to know what you thought about it too. Were you as gripped as we were? Let us know on our Twitter or Insta. You can find the details in the description of the podcast.
Join us next week when Sam's choosing our next film. Sam, do you want to tell us what your film is?
Oh, I do. I have chosen the 2004 film Anchorman, directed by Adam McKay. I've chosen Anchorman as I really felt it was time for a comedy, and this one ticks a lot of boxes.
I love Lamp. Such an awesome film. So if you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please leave us a rating and a review.
And don't forget, share with your own lads.
Or share it with anyone, really. We're not picky.
But not with your British imperialists. Not for RRR anyway.
So grab your popcorn.
Round up your lads.
Get watching.
And join us next week.
Bye. Bye.
Be like that kid that we rescue.
Oh yeah,
My ribs! Why did you throw me?
You didn't need to. Just put me down.
Why did you throw me on land?